You
Hello
are
there.
watching Nerdalism. This is episode 2. We are joined by Jason Braden, and I
Hello.
am Veronica, aka Phoenix. It is so nice to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate the time. I've been
Uh,
excited about this. I've been waiting.
I know. We've been messaging back and forth like, okay, so it's an hour.
I know. It's been a long time coming, but we're finally here, right? It's
Yeah,
it's the moment that matters.
yeah, right. I've been so excited because some of the stuff that you're doing, I know there's been kind of like a shh for a couple months now, so we can
Yeah.
finally talk about some of the stuff.
Some of
So
it, yeah. Some
yeah,
of it we can talk about, and some of it we have to be a little hush hush about because
yeah,
it's not quite public yet. But it's still exciting to give people a teaser, and I'm hoping we can sort of give people just a little bit of a taste of what's to come. So
a little bit,
yeah,
just a little bit of a taste, and hopefully we'll have you
yeah.
back in a couple months when we're allowed to talk about this some more.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm just happy that at least some of the stuff that we have to talk about, there is actually technically a release date coming for it, or an expected release date at this point. I may not say the actual date, but I will say the month when it comes time. But we'll
Yeah.
we'll save that for later.
And we could always say like, like Jerry teases us 2 weeks, two more weeks.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
We always ask. So for those who are just joining us, Jerry is my friend, our friend, Jerry Cornell, who is head of themeparkology.com, in case anybody wants to go to the site. It's a site that has like all sorts of stuff, and mostly DVDs, audio CDs. It even has some theme streaming episodes of some people that are celebrities and some that are, just people like you and me that are getting into the business for the very first time. In my business now, I'm trying to get into is voice acting and narration. And he's actually roped me in already. I've already got a few DVDs out there. So if you guys go to Theme Parkology, I'm going to go ahead and start my plugging early, if that's okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
So if you go to Theme Parkology, look for the Land series. There is Fantasyland, there's Frontierland, and New Orleans Square just got released. So those are all available on themeparkology.com for sale on DVD. Go check it out, buy it, support the site, and give Jerry some support. I'm
Let's
sure he'll
talk.
be happy about that.
I know, right? Like, free advertising. You're welcome, Jerry.
Absolutely, absolutely. But that's not all of what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, the big thing that we're working on right now is a show called Heroes of Extinction,
Mhm.
and this is it's been in production for a while. I
Mhm.
met Jerry back in January of I think 2021, so it was already in production at that point. And I don't know for how long. I'm not going to really go into details, but we've done table reads since then. We've done recordings, and these are actors and not just people like me that are just getting started in it for the very first time. We've got celebrities, people that are on IMDb, although I'm on IMDb now that I have some credentials behind me, which is great. Look me up, guys. I
Congratulations.
know, right? Cool. And but he goes to these conventions and he meets all of these actors from Disney conventions when he's selling his DVDs and his audio CDs and stuff like that. And he tells them about these projects that he's working on, and they just are like, "Wow, that's a great story. I'm interested. Could I have a part in it?" And they sign up, and we've got all sorts of just amazing people, and it's developed into a wonderful family of actors and writers and directors. See Andrew Nelson,
Yeah.
more friend and mine, right? Who has been a critical part of this show so far. And it's just been really great to not only meet these people. I mean, on screen, obviously, we've just been doing Zooms, but I have met a few of them face to face at some conventions for Heroes of Extinction, where we've had panels and we've had some really great audience response so far. And this is actually something that's known internationally now. And if you ask Andrew, he will tell you that when he went to, I think it was called Pensacon in London, was that what it was called?
Something like that. I'm not really familiar. Yeah, it's a con in London. Is
Right, and he was doing it for charity,
yeah.
but he was, I thought it was a great story because he was there, he was selling his pictures and, signing his name and everything like that, and again, all for charity. And he also had on the side these little flyers for Heroes of Extinction, and there were people approaching him saying, "Oh, I've heard about this show. I've actually listened to the first episode, and the reason that it's available is because during the con, if you guys were part of the panel or if you were listening on the panel, you got at the end of our show a little card that actually had a link to it, so you could listen to the very first episode just to kind of whet your appetite a little bit. And we've only done panels in the U.S., just in California, but somehow it's already made itself internationally and is now known overseas. And there's been people in England, at least, and maybe even more, that have listened to it and love it. So it's hard not to be excited about something like this when you hear that kind of a story being told about something that you're working on.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you want to become famous, I guess like have a covert link, right? Where you're not supposed to share it because they're like, only share it with these people, and of course,
Right. It's like that old proverb, don't push this button right
yeah,
here,
yeah,
right?
right.
And everybody wants to push the button. So they, just send it out because it'll get around. And happily so. I mean, what's the harm if it's going to get to other people? They're going to hear part of an amazing show that we already, released to people in California. Oh
Mhm.
no, more followers, more fans. What are we going to do?
Well, I mean, the first time that I heard of it, it wasn't of it because Drew's been telling me about it for a long time. But the
Yeah.
first time I heard it was right after MouseCon, I remember, and that was the first time I met Jerry.
Hmm.
And a lot of the people that are involved, that it was the first time I met them. And since then, it's been this tremendous project. Why don't we talk a little bit about what the premise of maybe a little bit about what is, are we allowed, Jerry?
The
Um,
story.
about the story, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've actually had a site up earlier for Heroes of Extinction, but I think Jerry took it down at one point because he wanted to revamp it and just redesign it and stuff like that. And it's still under construction, but
Mhm.
you and I have both kind of seen previews of it, and it looks great.
Yeah,
I can't wait for it to be released because it's going to have the biographies of all the different actors on there, and everybody's going to get a chance to see all of the talent involved. There's a lot of people in this show, and it's some of them you guys are just not going to believe. I mean, I'm just C. Andrew Nelson is number one. He's the narrator, for crying out loud. This is Darth Vader, everybody. If you don't know who C. Andrew Nelson is, he has he's worked for ILM, Lucasfilm, as a I think graphic animator. What was that the technical term, you think?
yeah. He was suing. Oh gosh, I would blank on the name now.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah,
Galaxy Quest is,
he did.
is the one that he always likes to plug. It was one of his favorite films to work on.
Oh,
Yeah,
who
but
wouldn't? Who wouldn't? It was
oh,
a
I
great,
know,
yeah,
and that was a great film. It's such a wonderful film. But him and then Isaac Singleton Jr., who has been in films like Planet of the Apes and Pirates of the Caribbean, and was even in an episode of The Mandalorian.
yeah.
I mean, he's
Was
got a
he?
huge. Oh yeah, and he was even in Deadpool. He's like one of those guys that every time that I watch a movie and I see his face, I'm like, wait a second, that's him. I was watching Anger Management with Adam Sandler about a month ago, and he plays the sky marshal that is on the plane when they kick Adam Sandler off for being angry, so to speak. I'm like, holy cow, this guy's in everything.
Yeah. No, he's in the background, especially like early 2000s movies. It's like, "Oh, I recognize him. I have no idea who he is, but I recognize him."
Yeah, and he's a big guy too,
Yeah.
and he's got this really deep voice, and he's so intimidating on screen and even kind of in person. I actually met him in Bakersfield
Mhm.
when we went to the MouseCon down there back in, I think it was January.
Yeah.
And it was funny, a little personal story. We Jerry and I picked him up from the train station for the con the previous day, and we had some time to kill, so we grabbed some food at a local cafe and asked him, like, what do you want to do? He's like, well, I was searching the area for things to do, and there's a natural history museum. Can we go see that? I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So we're tooling around the town, and then I've really never been to Bakersfield before, so I had no idea what they had. And this little natural history museum it's like a hole in the wall. It's on a main street in this building that you would almost think looks abandoned, but you can tell it's kind of mom and pop run, and they've got a lot of stuffed animals and rocks and dinosaur bones and whale bones and things like that. It's two stories, but it's still um kind of small for a natural history museum, and it's just something that I think is mostly done by the city and everything. But it was a lot of fun. It was really fun to see him enjoy it too. But anyway, I've gotten way off track. You wanted
Yeah.
to know about the story.
The story of gosh, okay, don't make me say it because I'm getting
Heroes of Extinction.
Heroes
Yes.
of Extinction.
You're
Yes.
gonna hear that a lot in the coming months.
Yes.
So Heroes of Extinction is a story about a superhero, and his name is True Strike, and he has been fighting crime with his superpowers for many, many years. And he has this alien technology that talks to him in his ear, and it also advises him on certain situations. It kind of reads things that are happening, like a supercomputer, and it can give
Kinda
him
like
advice on how
Kit.
to fight. Yeah, yeah,
Reminding
like
me of
Kit,
Kit, yeah.
the smart car, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and he just turned 50 years old. Just like me last year, I turned 50. Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm 51 now, so it really doesn't matter, but whatever. So anyway, he turns 50, and just like everybody who turns 50, they start feeling their age. And as he starts feeling his age, he starts losing his superpowers. And as such, the supercomputer in his head says that you need to find a replacement. And during this time, there is a massive uprising of mutants that are happening in the city, and we don't know where it's coming from. And there's doctors that are involved, there's politicians that are involved, it's kind of like an evil scientist versus the superheroes things, and there's more than just him as a superhero. This is a city that has other superheroes, which is why Skyo, the intelligence, says you need to find a replacement. So and I'm going to drop one more name
Go
because I
ahead,
can.
go ahead.
Mary Gibbs, who is the voice of Boo from Monsters Inc. when she was just a wee lass, is actually the voice of the superhero that is chosen to replace True Strike. So it's gonna be great. And I may have mentioned maybe I'm pretty sure that was okay to mention Jerry. I'm sorry if it wasn't, but it'll come to pass later, and you guys will see. It's a fantastic story. Samantha Albin and Jay Brezovar wrote it, and they are fantastic writers. I've had a blast doing the table reads on this. I know the story from A to Z. I've done all my recordings so far, and it's in final production. And I think the anticipated release is going to be somewhere in November. I don't want to say too much as far as the date, but that is the month that we can expect it at this point.
Ish, yeah, ish, but
November-ish,
yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Maybe we can just say holidays 2022.
yeah, right. I
Because
I
the
I
holidays
know.
start with Halloween. So, I mean, it'll definitely be after Halloween, but maybe before Thanksgiving. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, we're hoping to see it under the tree as a gift, maybe,
That would be
maybe.
great. That
Yeah.
would definitely be great. Yeah. And I'm just super excited because I can't wait to hear. I mean, I want to hear myself. I've heard other people react to the episodes that we played, obviously, at the conventions, and they love it. And even in the Bakersfield one was actually bigger than the one that we did in Concord. And the reaction from people was like, wow, that's great. And there was applause and gasps and everything. And there's definitely some twists to the story that
Mhm.
we can't really disclose, but it's one of those you really don't know who everybody is, just like pretty much any movie, you don't know who to trust in the beginning. So can't wait for people to hear it.
And like you said, Isaac Singleton is in it. And if you guys don't know who that is, that's the scary big pirate that Johnny Depp like or no, it's like that part where the great big scary pirate, the
He
great
played
big
Bosun.
yeah, the
He was
great big
Captain Barbossa's right hand man.
that's right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and he
Yeah.
had like all those I don't know if they were scars or something on his face, and he was always yelling in that movie. That's why I remember every time that he spoke, he was always yelling. But yeah, he plays I'm gonna call him a super. I don't know. I'm not gonna say he's a hero or a villain,
Mm,
but he plays a character named Fractus.
mhm.
And when you hear his voice, you'll know it. He's very intimidating, but very cocky because he knows the ins and outs of being a bad guy and a good guy. So maybe we can kind of call him more of a mercenary, but he does have superpowers, so that should be
It's
enough.
somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle, yeah, somewhere in the middle.
I honestly I've seen and I've I'm privy to some of what everybody looks like and the characters look like, and that is just so cool. Like the voices and the visuals. I can't wait. Like it's been so hard keeping my mouth shut.
It has been, yeah, and there's more on the horizon. There's other stories, there's other,
Mhm.
um, series that are being written and being cast. There is another one coming soon called Extinguished Worlds, and I will have a part in that, a little bit of a bigger part than Heroes of Extinction. Oh, and I didn't even say, like, what
I was gonna
character
say,
I play in
who
the
do
show.
you
I've been
play?
talking about all
Who
these
are
other
you?
people. Well, my claim to fame is a character named Chuck, who was a bartender at a place called the Down Low.
Mhm.
And he is just a friendly guy. He's got kind of like a New York accent, and he's an ex-boxer. And he sees all these people, all their the supers, I'll call them, in their sort of Clark Kent, what do you call them, alter egos, right?
Mhm.
So when the heroes need to relax, where do they go? They go to every other place that people go to. They go for a drink. They go to a bar, right? And Chuck's the guy that helps them out and serves them. And he kind of, gets wind of the things here and there. And I don't want to spoil too much, but even though he's got kind of a small part in the story, he's got kind of a big part in the universe of all of these stories that are being written and cast and coming soon. So I'll leave it at that. You guys can sort of, you can ask questions about it if you want later on. More will be coming, obviously, but once you finish Heroes of Extinction, that will not be the first time that you've seen or heard Chuck. I play a few other characters as well, just a few other little background voices here and there, nothing too huge.
I was
But
gonna say at this point, Patricia Gilliam posted
mhm.
this morning and gave you a shout out as one of the characters. So I'm not sure if Jerry would kill us or not.
On Extinguished Worlds.
Yeah, your superhero
Yeah,
character.
we were just
Yeah.
talking about that before this started, and, I mean, if you guys know me on Facebook and you wanna look, you can see it on there. I don't wanna say it too much, but,
Mm-mm.
I won't say the name of it, but there is a character that I'm gonna be playing in Extinguished Worlds that will also be carrying forward through other stories.
Mhm.
So, I don't wanna say who yet.
Yeah.
There's still a lot to happen between now and then, and I don't wanna step on any toes, so we'll just kind of leave it with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna be the Tom Holland of this group. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I can't believe that's actually a thing now, where people are like, I don't want to be the Tom Holland of the group and give away too much,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Poor guy.
I've literally said only tell me what I need to know because like
It's hard to keep it bottled in, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
no, I know because even Among Us, it's been sort of like, "Well, what do you know?" "I don't know." "Well, what do you know?"
Yeah. What can I
Yeah.
say? Is it okay to say this? Is it not okay to say this? Okay. Oh, and I can actually plug something else.
Oh,
So along with Heroes of Extinction and everything else that's coming out, there is actually going to be a recorded podcast series, which I am actually the host of. It's called the Lowdown at the Down Low.
mhm,
And like I said, the name of the bar that Chuck works at is called the Down Low.
mhm,
So I, just as Jason Braden, not as Chuck, am interviewing all the different actors and writers and the director, and of course Jerry, that will be released before Heroes of Extinction comes out. So even though the Heroes won't be coming out until later in the year, I think like 2 or 3 months beforehand, you're going to start seeing those episodes streaming on the website. And we'll have several. I think I've done a total of 7 interviews so far, and I still have 2 more to go, and Jerry included. And Jerry, if you're listening, I still got to do your interview. I don't know what you're waiting for, buddy, but we got to do it.
I gotta get him
Um,
on this show too, so we're gonna pin him down one day.
yeah, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's just going to be audio only. I think there'll be like a video of a recording studio in the background, so they'll put it up on YouTube so you can listen to it. But there's really no video per se. And it was just like this. It was a lot of just back and forth with the different actors and talking about how they got into the business and how they were approached by Jerry or Andrew to be part of these shows. And it was such an amazing experience just be able to get to these people on one-on-one because all I had known them from beforehand was these table reads and
Mhm.
them just reading lines off of a page. So to get to know them on a more personal level was amazing. And it turns out that, I end up having a lot in common with several of these people. And I'm just like, wow, these guys are great. They have a lot of the same likes that I do. So that will also be something that continues for the other stories that are going to be coming out as well. Um, so, I'll be continuing interviews with other actors that are going to be in future shows as well.
I'm excited to hear that one, definitely, because it'll be a great I know that, you were talking about maybe even in the future interviewing characters as
There was talk about that. I think that was kind of the original idea is that
Mhm.
and they wanted Chuck to talk to all the people's alter egos, and find out what it was more like to be like, hey, what is it? Are you a superhero or something like that? That's a little bit of Chuck. And talk to them as their characters as well to find
Mhm.
out what's it like fighting crime and things like that. I don't know if that's still going to happen or not. I think it was kind of shelved for a little bit. And then the whole lowdown at the down low came out, and it just kind of spun out from there. And I think most of the editing is done for the interviews that I've completed already. So it's just a matter of finalizing the website and uploading them and ready for people to listen by that time. So hopefully soon. I mean, November's right around the corner. So
I know. Edit faster, right? Edit
yeah,
faster.
no pressure, Jerry.
And I heard an accent. I've heard a little bit, of our of your character, but
Shook, yeah.
Chuck, what other accents do you do as a
Oh my gosh. It's kinda weird because I'm one of those people that will just, like, when I'm walking around I work from home. My full-time job is something that I'm able to work from home now. Of course, that was ever since the pandemic. And my wife lately has been working in the office. Unfortunately, it's not a permanent thing. She works from home occasionally, but I find that when I'm at home and I'm alone, I start just talking out lines in different accents, and sometimes it will be a Russian accent, that I do, and saying "Mother Russia, we do this," or sometimes it'll be kind of like a southern thing, like almost sounding like, "Hey, look, I'm Mater," it just random things just come out, and I never know what I can do from one moment or the next. And it was funny at one of the cons. I forget exactly who I was speaking to, but I was asking for advice on, like, what kind of advice would you give for somebody that's like me who is starting off new that wants to really be into voice acting. And he's like, well, one of the things you got to do, first thing he told me was that you got to move to LA. And I'm like, that ain't
right,
happening,
right,
not
yeah,
yet anyway. Not until I retire and I can be closer to my, home away from home, Disneyland. Yes, those who know me know exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Um, but he
We'll get
also
to that in a
said
minute.
yes. So he also said that you have to do voices, like, every day. I said, "Oh, good, because I do that. I walk around my house and I do voices and I do silly characters and things like that. I talk to my pets. We make voices for our pets. And I find out what kind of a range I actually have. And then I start coughing my lungs out and say, okay, well, I can't do that voice again. So it's just, I just play around, and I've got a lot of stuff in my wheelhouse and even some celebrity impersonations that I can do. I actually started making a list one year, and I still have it saved on my phone, but it's just sort of like a thing to remember because, getting older, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that voice. Oh yeah, I can do that character. Oh yeah, I can do that actor. So I got to write this stuff down so I don't forget it.
So, Southern guy, Russian guy,
Hmm.
New Yorker.
Oh yeah, you could also be from Australia, mate. Gotta come from down under and give me some shrimp on the barbie. I know that I'm stereotyping, and I'm so sorry for those who are Australian. I don't mean to stereotype, but I'm going off the cuff here, and I don't usually do that. But
How
uh, i- throw one at me, and then I could try. But you know it's just stuff that I've always played with, and the reason I do this, I've always liked just being goofy. I
Mhm.
wasn't really the class clown when I was younger. I was kind of an introvert. It wasn't until I, got older, had kids, had a family, got remarried, where I started just kind of coming out of my shell and doing all this kind of goofy stuff. And most of the time, I was at work and with friends and stuff like that. And they would always say, why are you doing what you're doing for a living? Why don't you just do that? I'm like, oh no, because this pays the bills and it keeps the roof over my head, the lights on, etc. Blah 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 blah. And right before my 50th birthday, I just started thinking, okay, well, why not? Why not do it, right? And one of the things that actually inspired me was I actually kind of got into this particular role with Jerry and Theme Parkology and everybody else that I've met and mentioned before, um, by kind of doing karaoke. If that and I'll explain. There's an app that you can download on I think all platforms, like whether it's Android or the iPhone, called Smule. And
Mhm.
Smule has a bunch of different types of applications. They have like a thing where you can play the piano, and it makes you feel like you're playing the piano, but you're not really playing the piano. You're just kind of like hitting your fingers on the beat of the song that's playing. And they have one that's for guitar, I think, but they also have one that's called Smule Sing. And it's mostly for karaoke, for people to just kind of go on there and sing solos of their favorite songs and share it in their public forum. But there was a lot of people that I found out that actually did scenes from movies. They somehow went to an application on their computer, their phone, whatever. They blanked out all the voices from certain scenes in movies, and then they put it up to sing or talk on top of that. So instead of singing, you're actually just doing like lines from a movie instead. So I figured out how to use it. I started building a fan base. I have probably about, I think 1,500 followers on that now. And I've made lots of friends on there because, I just do impersonations of, certain things, mostly from Disney movies. Um, and one of the people that I met, my friend Leia, who I think you saw on the last
Yeah.
Zoom call that we had, she knew Jerry through, I think, Such a Voice. She did her voice acting training through Such a Voice, and I think her coach or her instructor
Mhm.
was somebody who had known Jerry and put her in contact with him. And he mentioned to Leia at the time, I'm looking for people for, to do voice acting for these shows that I've got going on. And she's like, oh my God, I've got the perfect one for you. So she introduced me to Jerry, and I met Jerry, and he got me involved in Heroes of Extinction, and of course, all the DVDs that I've recorded. There's a couple of audio CDs still coming out. I've done the interviews, and and there's even like an episode that's going to be coming out of a series called Keys to the Kingdom. And
Ah,
in that one, I talked with Mary Gibbs, who I mentioned earlier, the voice of Boo from Monsters Inc., about what we would do to Disneyland, Disney World, California Adventures if we had the keys to the kingdom and an unlimited supply of money. That was a lot of fun. And it was actually during that particular recording that Jerry says, we got to get you your own show because you were great in that. I'm like, oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's how the lowdown at the down low was created, because he's like, this would be perfect for you. You could interview people, you could talk to people, and just chat about everything. So everything just kind of trickled down just from this one little singing app that I was just goofing around with, for probably about a year and a half before I really started chatting with Leia and talking about voice acting, and that's when she did all the introductions and everything. So my little background story there, of how it kind of all started, and then of course one thing led to another. I created like a little recording studio in our spare bedroom in our house. It was a hot box because it was just basically like a pop-up tent with some moving blankets. I had to get out of that pretty quickly, so I
I
invested in a
know.
little, yeah, right,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I invested in a little recording booth here, and it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite things to do now. I love being in here and recording, and I already had all the equipment, but figuring out how I wanted to place it was kind of a pain. But I've got everything exactly where I want it now, and this is my little second home in here.
Very
Love it.
cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your show and some of the stuff you've done around the Disney stuff. And
You mean like on Smule to start with that, or?
well, yeah, let's start with Smule. Like what kind
Yeah.
of stuff? 'Cause I actually wanted to ask you, when you do your accents,
Hmm.
do you base it on like something you've already heard or a person or anything like that?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I'll integrate a little bit of a character here and there. I mean, like one of the ones that I always like to do on Smule was Scuttle from The Little Mermaid. There is, the scene where Ariel approaches him, and for those Disney fans, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. She always brings him the human stuff so he can say what it is, and he's like, "Let me see. You want to? Should I give a sample of
Sure,
Scuttle
sure.
really quick? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Now the Snowflat dated back to prehistorical times when humans used to sit around and stare at each other all day. Got very boring." So, I mean, voices like that, and if Leia's watching or listening, or if she watches it later, she and I always used to do Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove, and she would do Yzma, and she does a great Yzma. And there's a certain scene where they're trekking through the jungle, and hey, Kronk is talking to Yzma, and he's like, "Yeah, Yzma, we're gonna take this direction here. We're gonna go that. Oh, I was a junior chipmunk, and I had to be versed in all the woodland creatures." So, and again, it's not something where it's just I knew that I could do these. I just try.
Mhm.
And I watch a lot of TikTok videos of people who say, well, when you're trying to do this character, start with this range and then move your voice down a little bit and try to sound like this, and then bring it down a little bit and slow your voice down a little bit. It makes a difference when you're changing to sound like somebody else. And one of the best compliments I feel like I can ever get, which I got on a couple of the table reads, is that when I was doing character voices for the table reads, it wasn't always for Chuck. I was often a stand-in for other voices on there, and people were like, "That was you?" Like, "Yeah, I was asked to read for this." Oh my god, I didn't even know that was you. So it's a great compliment to be like, "Oh, okay, well, I did like multiple voices and you really didn't know who it was coming from, then great, I've done my job."
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that was my impression of you when I first met you, where it was like, "Him? You like, it doesn't sound like it would come out of you."
Yeah,
So
and I think you also liked my Percy Pompous one recently
mhm,
that I did on TikTok, where he's doing the dramatic reading, and you're like, "Oh, finally, somebody can actually do an English accent," you know?
finally, Americans are terrible. Americans are absolutely terrible at doing it because I've got a British relatives. I've got, like,
Uh-huh.
actual cousins that I and awful. British can do American very well, but Americans, I haven't heard many that can, so kudos.
Yeah, thank you, and that always blows my mind. Even though that I can do a British accent, it blows my mind when I see actors who are British or Australian even, that can do an American accent, and I'm just like, "Wow, I had no idea that this person was actually even from that country." So, I mean, I don't know if it's a compliment to them, but I mean, it's definitely a skill and a
Mhm,
talent, and it's fun. I
mhm.
love doing this stuff. It's such a great time. It's not just sitting in here doing the recordings. There's a lot of work involved too because editing sucks. I'm not a huge fan of it, but to hear the end result,
Mhm.
that is the reward. And it's so much fun when I'm just kind of clipping things out here and there. And I mentioned Leia earlier. I'm actually doing a project for her. I'm taking a book that she provided to me and turning it into an Audible. So pretty soon that will be available whenever I finish it. It's kind of been slow going because I got sick in the last week and I had to kind of put things on pause because my voice was not very well, but everything's healed and strong like bull now, and the recording will resume.
How you feeling, how you feeling too? Because I know you were like,
Much better, much better.
wow.
It kicked my butt. I hated it.
Mhm,
And I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to colds and everything anyway, but the constant like sinus issues and congestion, and the cough was horrible. It's the cough has finally subsided. I had to take some medicine before this because I didn't want to be hacking halfway through because I've the more that I talk, the more it exacerbates it and makes it worse. But it's gotten a lot better, and I today is like one of the first days where I've actually felt almost 100%. Thank
the
you for
dreaded
asking.
yeah, yeah, the dreaded COVID cough, I swear. It's,
Yeah.
and you cough for a long time, and you're like, "I swear I'm not passing you anything right now. I promise."
Right. Yeah, I had to let everybody know, "I'm sorry, I have to kinda put things on hold." Even Jerry's waiting for a couple of lines on, another I even forgot there's another series that I'm doing for him called Dark Park, that he's editing right now. There's gonna be a new series or new episode, I think.
Mhm.
It's just a single episode. It's not like multiple chapters like what we're doing with Heroes of
Has
Extinction.
has the first episode been out yet? I'm can't keep track.
I'm pretty sure that's available on Theme
Okay.
Parkology. I'm pretty sure. So if they go to that site and they look for Dark Park, I'm pretty sure it's already on that site. I listened to it already. It was a story about, I think, a virtual reality experience where
Yeah.
people are fighting zombies, but it kind of like becomes real.
That's towards the end of the story. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
listened to the whole thing. Yeah, it's these kids that get sucked into a all of the stories, I guess, are in theme parks, scary theme parks.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, these kids are kind of jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's definitely some bad
and
guys.
yeah,
I play the hero in the next one. His name is Bill, and he's kind of just a mild-mannered, nerdy guy that has a day-to-day job and gets involved with a girl that he takes on a date, and it's at a theme park, and certain mishaps occur. That's all I really want to say at this point, because anything else will just give it away.
I've been begging to hear it. I'm like, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I can't wait till it comes out. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I know he's gonna be done with it. He's got to be done with it soon, because
Mhm.
I've been getting all these little extra lines from saying, "Oh, can you record Bill saying this? Can you record Bill saying that?" And like I said, I still owe him 2 more lines, and I don't know if there's gonna be any more after that, but it's in progress for sure. It's in
It's in
progress.
production. Yeah.
Yes, production.
So, we'll talk about a little bit about because so see the Disney project that you did, like we're talking about, where you did Keys to the Kingdom. Can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
It was literally just, I mean, I don't think any of those are out either, but they're going to be, again, something else that's
Mhm.
going to be coming out. And when their website's revamped and up again and everything, I mean, a lot of this stuff is going to just start coming out one after the other. And it's going to be
The
exciting.
holidays. The
Yeah,
holidays.
2 weeks,
Yeah,
2 weeks,
2 weeks.
right, Jerry, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So Keys to the Kingdom is it's a bunch of different people, and
Mhm.
it's not just me and other people. It's Jerry, I think, talking with Andrew, and other people talking with other people. I mean, it's some people that are involved in Heroes of Extinction, and I think it's just other even, I think there might even be other actors involved as well. I don't remember the entire cast that's involved, but it's literally just like a pre-recorded podcast where we talk about, if you had an unlimited amount of money and you could change anything, take something away, add something back in. It could be a new attraction, an old attraction, to Disneyland, California Adventures, anything overseas, Florida, whatever. What would you do? And my biggest thing was always bring the people mover back. I loved the people mover.
People mover.
And I actually saw a video the other day of somebody on YouTube that I follow who said that there's a rumor going around it might actually come back. So I know it kind of surprised me as well, because they said that the ride that replaced it in the early 90s, called the Rocket Rods, structurally destroyed the track. I mean, it didn't collapse or anything like that, but it's
Mhm.
cracked. It's really no good anymore, and that's the reason why they haven't brought anything else back to it in years. But Tomorrowland's getting a big refurbishment, and they said that that might be one of the things they bring back, and I was so excited. But
Mm.
Mary and I talked for, probably about 35, 40 minutes, and after it's edited and narrowed down, it might end up being closer just to a half an hour, and all these episodes will eventually become available on the site. I say the site
The
because I
site,
think
yeah.
it's the site. I think we're talking about Theme Parkology still for that particular one. There's other stuff that's still going to be coming out as well, but that particular one I believe will be on Theme Parkology.
And to acknowledge everybody that's here, thank you, Jerry, for watching.
Oh
Aubrey
yeah.
and let's see, Aubrey says she's here.
Hi,
Uh,
Aubrey.
I'm gonna butcher that name.
Tenuvale?
Tenuvial.
Tenuvial?
Okay, yeah,
Tenuvial. How about Tenuvial? That sounds good.
Tenuvial. Thank
Yes.
you. I'm sorry if I butcher that. So, as for let's see, actually, I'll ask you this: what is your favorite ride? I haven't been back in, gosh, over a decade. But what's your favorite ride? Because I know
That
you've
is
been there a
so
lot
not
sooner.
fair. Um, Favorite ride? Well, at Disneyland, I have to say it's probably gonna be, Pirates or Haunted Mansion. It's between the 2. It's a coin flip. I would say that I probably ride Pirates more than I ride Haunted Mansion. So that might be showing favoritism towards that if we're picking a side. Um, California Adventures, I have to say my favorite is the Guardians of the Galaxy. It used to be the former Tower of Terror. It's just so much fun. The music's amazing. I love the ups and downs, the zero gravity. It's not just the rides itself, but I'm one of those nerdy people that when I go to Disneyland, I'm like a little kid again, and I'm taken away from everything in the world, and nothing else exists but where I'm at. And it's the magic of it all, and all the rides, and yes, it does cost a fortune, and we we kind of roll our eyes when we talk about the cost, but we still go. I've got another trip coming up in August. I'm going to be taking my son. He's 21, but I told him I'd take him on a trip down there to help out with, or just as a thank you for a lot of the stuff that he's done for us. Because every time that we've gone before, he's always stayed here and pet sit. So Gabriel, if you're watching, thank you. I love you, buddy, and I can't wait to go with you next month. So yeah, those are my favorites, and I've always said that when I retire from whatever I'm doing, I'm going to end up getting a job there. I want to work there in some capacity. I don't even care if it's taking tickets at the front gate. I will work there.
You know,
That's how much I like it.
we're all gonna die in this field. You know that, right?
Probably. I mean, well, that's the great thing is that you can never be too old to do
Mhm.
this, to do
Mhm.
voice acting. And I mean, as long as I've got this with me, no matter where I go, I've got an office.
Mhm.
So, and even without this, you can still make anything into a recording booth. People use closets with, all their clothes in there and everything. As long as it's enough to dampen out the noise, I mean, you got the right equipment, you can pretty much do anything any nowadays. And I think a lot of people do actually just work from home. It's very rare that I hear somebody say that they're in a recording studio.
These are like IKEA things that are reinforced to, muffle out the sound.
Yeah,
Because
like
yeah,
the sound blockers or I forget what they call. I mean, it's not anything like this, is it?
oh yeah, it's got that stuff on it,
Oh, okay.
and then
Yeah.
it's covered with, because I like the darkness too. I want the darkness when I'm doing, because I don't want to distract. For
Yeah,
me.
I kinda wanted something bright, so I went with the blue. They had other colors like purple, and you could do black as well, but I wanted something you could actually see.
Mhm.
Acoustical foam, that's what I was trying to think of the actual technical word for it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think that and yeah, I got called on it yesterday. I'm more visual, so I'm like always trying to cater to the visual part of it, and less the audio. And I probably should behave and focus more on audio.
Yeah.
Terrible at that.
Well, I mean, but you do this, and there is some
Mhm.
kind of visual aspect to it. And even when I do Zoom readings, and of course the podcast with you, it turned out really well. But the only one visual thing that I had to do for this booth is where I wanted to place my camera. So that's why I'm kind of like I'm looking off to the right of the camera, but because this is where my screen is, but the
Mhm.
camera's right up there in the corner. So
Yeah,
even when I'm doing Zoom calls, this is kind of me. I'm actually looking more like this, sort of away from the camera.
I do that too because there's a screen
Yeah.
over here and there's a screen up there, and then it's
Right,
so
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You don't wanna think like the whole people don't think that I'm rude and not looking at them intentionally, but I'm really not looking at anybody. I'm looking at you, but I'm not
Mhm.
looking at you.
Mhm. As for, was this something that you wanted to do even as a kid? Did you ever do voices or anything like that when you were younger?
Not really. When I was a kid, I my little side hobby was drawing. I love to draw a lot. I was a very nerdy kid, so it was always sci-fi stuff that I drew. Like, and I love James Bond, so I'd be drawing like James Bond vehicles with missiles coming out of it, and ejector seats and oil slicks and stuff like that. And science fiction robots. And I got into D&D, and I started, trying to advance my skills. And my uncle Bill, he's an amazing artist, so he kind of inspired me to do a little bit more on that as well. Still drawing to this day, and he posts all of his stuff online. He's still doing fantastic work. I sent him a link, so I hope you're watching, Bill. Hi. Um, but no, the voice stuff didn't really happen until I would say maybe like my late 30s. I may have done stuff before then, but it was just goofing around, not
Mhm.
doing anything serious. And it wasn't until the time whenever I did start, and people started saying like, "Oh my gosh, you should do this for a living," where I just started going like, okay, well, maybe I should just look into doing it more, just seeing where I could take my voice and how many different characters I could do. And back then it was more about who could I impersonate, right? Not who I can actually create on my own. And that's a troubling thing, or that's a hard thing to do, is thinking about a character that you're saying, "Oh, I want you to play this person." And here is their skin color, here is their age, here is their ethnicity. You need to make up a voice,
Mhm.
and you want it to sound like how you think that person sounds when you get that description, but sometimes it just ends up coming out completely different. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's the great thing, is that with all the different people that we have within the family, that Jerry and Andrew have created, everybody knows the things that we can do.
Mhm.
So future projects come up and they're like, "Oh, this character, this will be perfect for Joshua to play, or this will be perfect for Jason to play." Oh my, oh no, 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 no. We got to get this guy to do it because I know he can do this voice. And I know he is this character, or she is that character. So there's not a lot of, I think, auditioning done much anymore, except for just sending in like maybe clips of what your voice sounds like. And then they'll be like, "Yeah, I think we can use you as this character for this show." It's not, like you're auditioning for a specific character. You're kind of being pulled out of a wheelhouse.
Mhm.
And it's worked out so well because everybody has just fit the roles perfectly.
Network,
So
network, network, right?
it works.
Yeah.
And I, I never really knew. And what's crazy is I am in a corporate environment. I've been doing my full time job now for like 30 years. And I know I should know about networking, but I've only been in kind of like a customer service role. I've never been in sales or anything like that, although people have said, "Hey, Gabriel." He just said hi. Gabe said, "Hi, Dad, LOL." Um, and you would think that I would know about networking. I mean, and in general, obviously, I knew about networking, but I didn't know how well it worked until I got into this industry, and
Mhm.
seeing how well it works and how much of a snowball effect it has, and the kind of work that you can get even after just having one role. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's so funny how I've realized how small the acting community really is,
Mhm.
where you go like, "Oh, you know that person. I know that person. We're friends with the same
Yeah,
person."
and
Yeah.
I feel bad sometimes too, because on certain Zoom calls, people will be throwing names out there about all these different, individuals they met at conventions or trade shows or something like that. And for the most part, I know a lot of them, but I've come to know them. The other
Mhm.
ones, I'm just sitting here going like, okay, let me go on IMDb while we're on the Zoom call, looking up people, going like, "Oh, okay, now I know who that person is." And for the record, but kind of off the record, there are some amazing people that I have heard that are interested in these projects that are coming up, that want to be characters in our show. And oh god, I want to say so much about the people that I've heard mentioned, but I can't. But just some very exciting things in the works, and a lot of great talent still
Mhm.
to come. A lot of great talent now. A lot of great talent still to come as well.
I'll be honest, last meeting or picnic,
Yeah.
I was fangirling. I was fangirling so hard.
They name dropped a lot of people for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, I can't. I mean, I know it was recorded, and we could go back to remember them if we wanted
Mhm.
to, but just to hear all the different people that are interested in this kind of stuff is just overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
And just to think that like, oh, I might be on a Zoom call with this person like pretty soon for a table read, it blows my mind.
Yeah, right?
It just blows my mind.
Although it's incredible being able to work with Sandra Nelson and Jerry Cornell any given basis, and it's been really awesome to get to know you. We do have a couple questions, although
Oh,
Tinuviel says, and I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, but I've never actually said that name out loud. It's so funny.
uh, oh, okay.
Um, I'm so sorry. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've had that happen as well. I've had characters that sound completely different than how I've envisioned them. It's funny, the brain kind of fills that in. Uh, Jerry wants to know who's your favorite character to voice?
Well, I have to tell him Chuck.
Oh.
I mean, if it's within our own little universe, I
Mhm.
love Chuck. I love Chuck because he's just so friendly. He is, you know, hands down, just he's just your buddy. You go and you just talk to him, and you have no reservations. He doesn't judge. And he even ends up, I think. Well, oh God, I no, can't say it, can't say it. I was gonna give something away, but I'm like, no, I gotta hold that one back a little bit. But the interaction that he has with the heroes is something special, and
Mhm.
I've really felt that throughout the series. And I can't wait for people to hear him. You guys got a taste of him earlier, obviously, but to hear him in his scenes with all the activity in the background and the heroes talking to him, and he even like toasts them and stuff like that. It even feels like a family in the show. It's
Mhm.
such a great camaraderie. As far as characters to voice outside of the theme parkology world, I don't know. I can't. I mean, I do so many of them, but I mean, I think the one. I mean, it's cliche, obviously, because I feel like everybody tries to do this guy, but Arnold is one of my go-to guys
Oh.
because it's very easy to do Arnold for me because I just sit here and I use the accent because I've seen many of his movies, and he's a very prestigious actor, and he's been a great leader in certain communities, and he's really into his physicality. So, and don't forget to get back to the chopper. Oh, and you know what? Okay, I have to give props to my wife Lisa. Hello, baby, I love you.
Oh.
She says Peter Pan as well because I actually have a friend who does an amazing impersonation of Wendy
Mhm.
from Peter Pan. So Mimi, if you're watching, hello. But yeah, Peter Pan is another one that I didn't even realize I could do until I tried it once because she posted on Smule the scenes from Peter Pan, and I started, Peter Pan was one of my favorite animated movies as a kid. Always wished I could fly, right? I mean,
Mhm.
what kid doesn't want to fly when they're young, or even nowadays? It'd be an amazing power. Anyway, I started realizing that I'm in my 50s and I've got a pretty deep voice, but I didn't realize that I can actually bring my voice up here like this, and I can sound like Peter. Come on, everybody, here we go.
Oh.
So, I never really, again, you just never know what you can do until you give it a shot. And as long as you're not destroying your vocal cords in the process, try anything. If for people who are watching and want to be in this industry and want to try to do voices, just mess with your voice. What do you got to lose? You might sound crazy to your parents a little bit, but what kids don't sound crazy to their parents at some point in their lives? I mean, my kids still sound crazy to us. Yes, I know you're listening, but it's just something that it's fun, and who knows where the heck it could take you? Because look at me. I mean, I started late, but it's never too late to join. It's never too early either.
Oh, yeah. Join anytime. Too young, too
Yeah.
late. Yeah, no such thing.
Yep.
Let's see. What's the most difficult character to voice?
Oh gosh, anything with a high register. I used to be able to do SpongeBob really well, and the same gentleman that told me that you have to move to LA to make it big in this industry is also the one that said just make sure that whatever you do when you audition, do not do SpongeBob. But I've done SpongeBob and Smule Sing before, and he's I don't even know if I could do it. Hey Patrick, what are you up to today? Yeah. But if I do that for too long, it's a little bit too high up here in my throat, and if it can end up making my vocal cords rub together too fast, and I don't want to hurt my voice, and that's something that I've kind of had to pull back a little bit from because I used to love doing that kind of stuff on Smule, but then I also realized that if I do it for too long, my voice needs to heal like for a couple of days, and I can't afford to do that anymore. And I also used to like anything that's low and raspy or growly.
Mhm.
When I kind of go down like this. Like I used to do the Cave of Wonders, like how does the line go in Aladdin? Uh who disturbs my slumber? So,
Oh,
for stuff like that, when you get down low and you get way deep in your throat, it I can even feel it tickling back there. Um yeah, take some water here, but
yeah. Don't destroy. Jerry will kill me.
yeah,
He'll
no. So those are the voices that I have difficulty with. and I try to avoid it all possible, but if it's for just a few lines here and there,
Mhm.
it's okay. It's not gonna
Yeah.
kill me.
Jerry, I'll get a text message. You got my actor to
You broke Jason. Bring Chuck back. You need to fix him.
fix it.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure you already know who the character I've fallen in love with, and I cannot wait to like meet him and hear him more. So can't say too much about that, but yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, yeah.
And I actually know how I've kind of been told the type of character he is, and I've read the script for the type of
Mhm,
character he is, and I'm excited because he's kind of a no nonsense, very by the book character, and I've actually been given a kind of a Captain America vibe about him.
mhm.
Hey Nick, how's it going? That's my it's my cousin Nikki saying, "Great job for following your dream. Never too old. Keep it up, cuz. Thanks. Love you." Um, so yeah, I'm excited to because I mean I really won't have to make his voice sound much different. I'll
Mhm.
just have to maybe slow down the way that I talk and be a little bit serious, about the lines that I say. Hi, Kimberly. I think that's Kimberly, right?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say hi to Skyo for me. It's Chuck and yay, yes, that's right.
Checking one of her favorite, yeah.
So can you elaborate on what she's talking about with the favorite writers? Because you write too, right?
I do. I write.
I know this is not technically your interview, but I mean, I almost feel bad, that
I
we're not
I
talking about that.
haven't exactly revealed. I am
Oh, okay.
writing. Yeah, I'm writing something. I just can't say what.
You can just say that you're writing something for. Can you say
Yes.
who for? Are you allowed to
Mm,
say that or no, not yet?
no.
Okay.
I can't. I'm writing for one of our projects, but I can't
Okay.
say what yet.
Okay.
We are still very, very. Oh, I can. I can. Okay,
Huh?
He says that I can.
Oh, he says you can. Oh, excellent. Go for it.
Or it's what's his face apparently.
Yeah, that was from one of
Our
our attendees on
meetings.
on our company picnic. Yeah, they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
and what's his face?" Yeah. It was hilarious.
So I am writing for Imminent Invasion,
Mm.
and yeah, where that's why I've kind of fallen in love with Tear Shield because he's one of the characters. That's all I can really say at this point. It involves a very new character, and I cannot wait to meet that character and get to know them more. I've gotten to know Terra Shield through the awesome writer, and you want to say her name?
Yes, that would be Patricia is it Gilliam? Is that how you
Gilliam.
pronounce her last name? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's a fantastic Extinguished Worlds is an amazing, amazing story, and I cannot wait till the public gets a bite of it.
Mhm.
It's it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I wanna say so much more about it, but, you know you know.
I know, and it's funny because I think I'm like part 3 of the series is gonna come out, and so there's so much to go, and
Yeah,
so I'm seeing like where the journey is going to be, and there's no in between yet for me. So I'm sort of like I'm very excited.
yeah. It's gotta be exciting. I mean, my wife is I got another text from my wife, and she's
Mhm,
like, I'm writing too, and actually, I am kind of in the middle of a bit of a short story right now."
mhm,
I'm not gonna say what it's about technically at this point because I'm still putting the skeletal structure together. I have not even fleshed it out, but I've got a premise, I've got a beginning, I've got a little bit of a middle, but I have to get a good ending. So, um, and what's crazy is that I was inspired after the picnic that we had.
mhm.
And guys, when we're saying picnic, this was just like a very big Zoom call with all
Yeah,
the
it's
heroes of Extinction family and beyond. So,
yeah, it's like a
uh,
celebrity Zoom call.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
it was a lot of fun though, and that's where we got a lot of the news about the new stories coming out and everything, and that's why we're so giddy about all this stuff. But
Mhm,
anyway, um, all the different things that were told during the picnic, uh, we it inspired me. I'm like, because we were talking about superheroes and different types of powers and different locations and different decades, and I started thinking like, oh my gosh, I could do time travel, I could do superheroes, I could do I could do stuff from the 80s. I can do stuff from the 1800s. I can do whatever, And I've never really tried writing before. I take that back. I've tried it, but I've never taken it anywhere. But I feel like a lot of the stuff that I've listened to and been a part of has been inspiring, and it makes me want to go and try my hand at this again. So, it's going to be a work in progress for God knows how long. But hopefully we'll be able to share it on a future call, and maybe it'll turn into something. Who knows?
I'm not sure what DK Phipps is saying about my recording location. Talk about your recording location. I'm not sure what that means.
Where I'm located? Is that what you want to know, Kimberly?
She was saying talk about your recording location, V. My
V. Oh,
recording
V. Sorry,
location.
that's you.
Oh, my recording equipment.
Maybe like because I'm in a booth, but where are you, in a room or a studio or?
Yeah, no, I'm actually in a. I'm currently in my California one. I have one in Oregon and I have one in California. My one in Oregon is like a lot more open. And doesn't have all the audio dampening. This one, I'm in Sacramento, California right now, and I kind of fly between Oregon and California a lot lately. Because I'm working on something else, like kind of hands on, hands off kind of thing. But my recording equipment, I've got like this is all dampening stuff. Like, and then I've thrown because I'm all about the visual. I come from a visual background. I've done 13 years in film. So I'm like all about let's make it pretty. I just don't care about audio. I can do audio. I've trained in visual, audio, all of it. But I come from and oh yeah, Jerry Corliss's whisper room mic. Yeah, it's sort of a whisper room. It's a created whisper room, I guess. It's in a bedroom that I've converted and turned it into during the pandemic a whisper room. Because I couldn't go to my actual audio recording studio because during the pandemic I was telling you actually before the show about how you had to have to be able to go to certain locations, you had to have it on your license. And I'm like, my recording studio is not on my license. Why would I put it on my license? So, um, I gave that thing up. It was too expensive to keep up. So just for maybe an hour or two of recording. So yeah, I created a little whisper room. I cut a bedroom in half and cut it off. And so, yeah.
It's
And
amazing
then,
how creative we can be during the pandemic, right?
yeah,
Like,
right.
yeah, especially when it comes to recording, because all you need to do is know how to block out the noise,
Hmm.
and as long as you got the equipment, know how to set it up, then you're good to go. It's golden. I mean, like I said, I converted our spare bedroom into with. I literally had one of these, like, I think it was like 5 by 5. It was one of those big pop up tents that you see at the street fairs.
Hmm.
And instead of the regular top, I think I draped over like all these different moving blankets,
Hmm.
but it had no ventilation, so I could only spend like about 45 minutes to an hour in it at the most before I was just like sweating.
I I know there's a vent on the other side because I kind of made a temporary wall
Hmm.
between this and the window because and then the vent is on the other side of the temporary wall with a curtain, so everything is just blocked in because yeah, that's what you need to do to prevent air. Like even air creates noise.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
if anybody wants to know who are interested in getting into voice acting, and you want to know, the booth that I actually got was from vocalbooths.com.
Ooh.
It's the silver edition. It's definitely it costs a few bucks.
Mhm,
But it's like I said earlier, it's an investment. And it's
mhm,
something that I definitely wanted to make sure that I spent the money on, because I knew I was going to be using it a lot, and I wanted to get a really good quality sound from my instrument.
mhm,
And it's got lights that they give, and there's a ventilation system on the outside, so it's constantly circulating air, so it doesn't turn into a hot box like my last room. Um, and it's just made of wood and the acoustic foam in here, so you can literally do whatever you want to. I added some shelves. I got my laptop wired outside, so that way the noise from the fan doesn't bother my recordings.
mhm.
And it's worked fantastic. And Still paying it off, but that's what we do with investments, right?
What kind of because I use a Rodecaster and mostly Rodecaster stuff now.
Uh-huh.
Because I've noticed that a lot of the podcasters and the people who do audio do
Mhm.
use Rodecaster, which makes life so much easier. What do you use for your recording?
Well, I have a Scarlett Studio microphone and the Focusrite audio interface.
Mhm.
That's my hardware. That goes directly into my computer, and the recording software that I used to use was just Audacity because it's free, and
Mhm.
it's a great piece of software for anybody who's just kind of getting started. But as well as investing in a booth, I now use Adobe Audition, and it is so much more user friendly. It's a monthly cost, but it's worth it. It's like click and play practically. It's so easy, and there's tutorials online for everything, so you don't really have to do a lot to learn how to use it.
Mhm.
It didn't take me long to pick up on the stuff that I needed, and I'm not like super technical or anything like that. But I've also been asked to help produce some shows in the near future, so I'm probably going to end up using that for putting some of these shows together, depending on what I've been chosen for.
I've used and I still use it to this day, and it's funny because I've used Adobe, but I was on a big production. I can't even say what it is because it's not out yet. But I was on a big production. I was watching them use DaVinci Black Magic, and I was like, "What?" you know,
What is
'cause it's an
that? I
open
don't think I've ever heard of that one.
it's an open source,
Uh,
and yeah, it's an open source. It does visual and audio, and it does graphics, and it's not as flashy as Adobe is, but
okay.
it's a really great program. I love it to death. I keep telling people I'll never probably go back. you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, Audition can do graphics as well, because
Mhm,
sometimes people need to do voiceovers and they need to put a video to the stuff that they're putting their voice onto.
mhm.
And I haven't really had a need to do that yet, but there is the capability to add video to it as well. So it looks like we got one other
Yeah.
question here.
What tricks, rituals do you do before starting voice characters?
I need to get better about doing rituals and warm ups. I know that there are certain things that I should be doing to warm up my voice before I actually go into my booth and record. But lately I've been kind of because I've been doing this thing for my friend Leia to do the Audible story. I've been doing exercises that help me not stumble over words. So it's a lot of the and trying to loosen up the tongue and the lips to kind of get yourself ready to do a lot of talking. As far as the character voices are concerned, there's really not a lot I do to prepare. I just have to make sure that I remember what each character sounds like before I have to pick back up again. Because if it's Bill from Dark Park, I got to sound nerdy. If it's Chuck, I got to go back to the East Coast again. But I keep everything that I record. So if I need a refresher, I can just always go back to the files that I've done before, take a listen, and be like, okay, yeah, I got it. I'm good.
Well, this has been so much fun. I know we've gone a little bit over. Let me know if anyone else has any questions before we go, but this has been so much fun. Go ahead and plug again. I know this has been like one big plug because we're just having so much fun with
I
this.
try to cram it all in the next couple minutes here. Okay, yeah. So just
Yeah.
to recap, Heroes of Extinction is available, or it's going to be available later this year. There will be a site specifically related to it to come soon. There is a show where I do interviews for all the actors, and well, not all of them, but several actors and the writers and producer and director, called The Lowdown at the Down Low. That will be available soon as well. Let's see what else. Extinguished Worlds, a story to come still. It's been written, but it's also still being cast. I will be in it in some capacity, as we've heard. And then let's see, themeparkology.com DVD is available. Let's see, we're going to go back and say that was the Land series, Fantasyland, Adventureland, and New Orleans Square. And for my social media, I am at JB_voices on Instagram and TikTok, so be sure to check me out there. And I also have a YouTube channel, which I don't post to very often, but I have it just in case I need it. And that is, I think, just JB Voices. So check me out on
I
those links.
badly linked that.
Oh, yeah?
I butchered that in the comments. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Uh,
Don't worry about it. I think most people know, but I mean, if you do a search for JB Voices, you'll find me.
there we go. All right.
Got it?
I'm going to link them down in the chat. So
Perfect.
I was like, oh my goodness. Okay.
You good?
We're good. We're
You
good.
could fix it in post-production if you
Yeah,
want
we'll
to.
fix it later. Fix it later.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. Not yet, Kimberly. I'm not sure what I just missed. Have a
Uh-oh.
blessed evening. Oh,
Oh,
Jason, you actually have 2 voice characters in Dark Park.
2 voice characters. Do I? Oh, yes, I do. And I am You know what? I'm gonna save that for a surprise
Okay.
for whoever's listening, because maybe I want people to guess who I voice, because I'm Bill the hero, but I do also have I voice one other character that's in the very beginning of the show, and I'm gonna let people guess who I am when it comes out. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be in the credits and everything, but still,
You're
I don't
gonna
want to
get
give too much away.
I get a preview and I'm gonna
Think
be like, I'm gonna text you.
Yeah, think J. Jonah Jameson from the
Okay.
Spider-Man series.
Okay.
That's kind of the character reference that I'm going to give for the other character that I play.
Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
curse you, Spider-Man.
all right. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Jason. I can't wait to hear some of your stuff that you'll be doing.
Thank you for having me. This was a great time. I really appreciate you putting me on the show here.
And hopefully have you back in a couple months when we can actually say things.
Yes, I would be very happy to join again.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.